Hi, it's springtime, so I'm starting to think about weeding my lawn. And my lawn has two big weeds that are a real problem. It has dandelions, which are a problem almost everywhere. And then we also have these little white flowers. They kind of spread out. They kind of spread across the ground early spring. It's called chickweed. And this stuff is a pain in the neck to get rid of because once it starts, it just spreads throughout a whole area. Now, I got a couple options. I can sit down on the ground like this with a piece of cardboard, and I can take a weeding fork, and I can sit and pop them out like that. The weed fork hits the root. You kind of yank and pull. There's other kind of weeding forks that actually have like a ball on the end where you can leverage them out. Or I can take a spade, and I can kind of do a little dandelion. Same thing. Kind of yank and pull the weed out by the root. Of course, in that case, I made a total mess, and you leave divots all over your yard. My third option is this new gadget I picked up. This is an Ames Weed Puller. And this is exactly how it's packaged. I wanted to show you how it's packaged because when I went looking for it, I actually had a hard time finding it. It's sitting on a shelf wrapped in plastic just like this. I got it from Home Depot, but it's not a great packaging job there. They could have done a little better job. So if you can't find it, look for a bag of plastic. That might be it. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to open this up. And you can see, here we go. That's probably what it's supposed to look like. Okay. You may be familiar with other weed pullers, such as the Fiskar weed puller. And the Fiskar weed puller is an orange and black device, and it's very similar looking to the Ames one, but they have a couple key differences. Okay. So here we go. Here's the Ames weed puller. It does have a handle. It does have a little instruction booklet on it. Peels right off. And you see there are the instructions right there. Okay. So I've been using the Ames Weed Puller for about 3 hours now. A couple good things about it, a couple things that aren't so great. One, it's made of metal, it's durable, it's relatively lightweight, probably about 4 or 5 pounds. This is the heavy end, this is the rest of it's nice and easy to lift, easy to move around. It does a great job of pulling out individual weeds. So if you put it into the center of a weed, push that in, turn that around, twist and pull it out, you will get a little divot of dirt with weeds in there. It works great. However, I've been using it for chickweed, and after about 2.5 to 3 hours, my yard looks better, but it's far from done. A lot of it has to do with how a weed puller works in general. You shove it into the middle of the weed, you pull it out, you yank out exactly the middle of the weed. The trick is, with chickweed, you can't often tell what the middle of the weed is versus the side of the weed, and because chickweed's kind of a spreading weed, you might get 3 or 4 middles in a small area, but then have other areas that are spread out. So this would work better with dandelions, with some larger weeds that kind of blossom out in the grass that are very distinguishable from the grass. This is much nicer than the Fiskars, because the Fiskars you shove in and you kind of twist and you kind of yank out a larger area of dirt. This you just pull out a tiny little, what is that, about a 1 inch square or 1 inch circle of dirt. But it does leave a hole, and sometimes when you actually get it just right, you'll have a nice hollow hole in there. It looks great. Good way to aerate the soil, but you got to be careful, because if you have small children or if you have pets, they're going to get stuck. I've actually seen dogs with their paws get stuck in holes in yards. Same thing with little babies. They could actually, or toddlers, they could actually actually get stuck. So you don't want to have all these holes all over your yard. So what I did was, after I kind of went through an area, I would take a lawn rake and just kind of rake it over and kind of stomp on a couple spots where the holes had kind of gotten big, and just kind of smoothed it out so that nothing could actually get stuck in there. The other thing about this is, again, 2.5, 3 hours, my back feels pretty good. I was kind of bending and stretching a little bit, but not too bad. It wasn't like I was down on the ground crawling around for 3 hours. It was nothing like that. But that being said, it is still work. You're still shoving this into the ground, even though you're stepping on it. You're still twisting it. You're still yanking it out, and then you're kind of doing this motion to kind of pop out. It's almost like a shotgun. You pop the dirt out, and you dump it into a bucket. It is about the same cost as a Fiskar's, but it does seem to be a little more solidly built. Again, it's metal. This shaft is plastic, but it doesn't really have much pressure or tense on it. The metal part's the metal rod, the metal pole holds it, and then this just kind of goes back up and down, but this is all metal here as well. So it does seem pretty well made. I don't even see any stress lines on it. I see nothing whatsoever. So overall, I would recommend this for, again, dandelions and obvious big weeds that you want to pull out without climbing down on the ground. That would be wonderful. For spreading weeds and for weeds that are harder to see exactly what you're hitting, it's a little less of a hit and miss, or a little less of a hit there, more of a miss. It works. I'll hang on to it. I'll use it for other things, by all means. But I think I'm going to stop using it for chickweed because, honestly, I'm tired and I'm just burned out. I can't keep doing this, and there's just too much of it. So that's where fertilizer comes in. That's where some weed and feed comes in. Even a little bit of some kind of a pesticide or grass killer, rather, or a weed killer would actually kill the weed instead of actually killing the grass around it. But this is good for pulling out individual weeds. I don't know if I would use this in a garden or in a flower bed. I would probably only use it in a lawn. Great big area where you can just kind of walk around, plug it in, pull it out, pop the plug into a bucket, and keep going.